Welcome everyone to another Robcast, Revenge of the Nerd podcast with your host Rob Sacchetto, that's me. And today, hi folks, day I don't know what of the shut-in, to be honest, it's just another day. So we're trying to find things to do with ourselves. I'm sure you guys are too. How about watch more of my videos? That would be something. So today I am going to continue doing fan requests. Today I'm going to do a request from a fan by the name of Joanne Pilon. Hi Joanne, hope you're staying safe and healthy and shut in like the rest of us. So, social distancing is a huge thing right now, of course. So, Joanne's request was that I discuss amongst myself, amongst you guys, Nicolas Cage. Yeah, what? Okay, sure, Nicolas Cage. I'm all about pop culture. I invented the zombie portrait service back in 2006. I've been a huge fan of pop culture ever since I was a little kid. Started out with, Godzilla movies and horror movies and stuff like that. Then it continued. And I've been a huge proponent and lover of pop culture for forever. Whether it's comic books or movies, I'm a huge Lego fan too, and all that stuff, all that good stuff, all that fun stuff, I'm a huge fan of. So I'm a comic book collector, I'm a movie collector, I love movies, I love cinema, I love the language of movies, I love the language of comics. They're very, very different in their approach in telling stories, but they tell stories, and I love that. That is such a at times difficult thing to do, at times a very easy thing to do. It really depends on what your perspective is and how you portray it and how you execute it. So, but communication, it's all about getting your story across or your thoughts across to other people, whether through moving pictures or two-dimensional art, or whatever kind of art you end up choosing. You're sending a message out to other people that you want to connect with, in not so many words, but actual, images. So, and entertain them as well. Entertaining is a huge part of art, in my opinion. Some people might not share that opinion, but that is my opinion. So, getting to Nicolas Cage, let's get right down to it. I'm a huge fan of Nicolas Cage. Here are some of my Nicolas Cage movies, which there's quite a few of them. It's not all of them, but I think it's the most eclectic collection of the movies I have of Nicolas Cage. And he is rather an eclectic individual in roles he chooses. So some people might think or say, like, Nicolas Cage films are horrible. That's true. Some people might say Nicolas Cage movies are incredible and awesome. That's also true. He is a very perplexing individual when it comes to film. I'm sure just in even real life, but like in film, he kind of does everything and anything, and he does it with this sort of panache that it's always him, So we could talk about movies like The Vampire's Kiss, where he's just, actually, if you see the thumbnail to this video, that image is an image that you've probably seen in memes too. That image is Nicolas Cage flying off the handle in his performance in Vampire's Kiss. So there's that. You'll see him just acting like a maniac and boiling over and just becoming this crazed lunatic in films. But it's incredible to watch. So we have that Nicolas Cage. We have the subdued Nicolas Cage. In some of his other movies, then we have the action guy, where it's like, oh, I want to be in Face Off, I want to be in Con Air, I want to be in, he's in movies like this, and people sort of forget about those movies and they sort of go, okay, well, Nicolas Cage is this kind of guy. And then it's like, oh no, but we forgot he's also this kind of guy. Oh, but we also forgot that he's this kind of guy too. Like, okay, so if we go through like just these few movies, we have Bad Lieutenant. Bad Lieutenant was originally a Harvey Keitel movie. This was like a weird movie to come out. Like, I never understood this, but I bought it, I watched it, I liked it. It was a really cool movie. And they called it Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans. Why? I don't know. It's just weird. Like, that was a weird... I don't know the story behind that. Maybe I should actually check it out. One of my favorite movies he was in which I literally went to the theater and watched by myself, Con Air. It's it's just a crazy movie. Like an action movie. It's like watching a live action cartoon. There are super tons of cameos from other actors, other great actors in this, like Steve Buscemi, and there's so many more great actors in this movie. John Cusack and so many more, but Nicolas Cage plays this over the top, like good guy, all-American guy. So anyway, tons of fun if you haven't seen it. Fantastic movie. Then we've got this movie I literally bought just because it's one of the shittiest, funniest, dumbest movies I've ever seen in my life. It's the reason I have Showgirls and movies like that in my collection, because like they're oddities beyond comprehension. You can't even understand why a movie like this was even made. But Drive Angry, the name of the movie itself is hilarious. Drive Angry. What can I say about this movie? Nicolas Cage's hair in this movie is worth the price of admission. Just to see his hair in this movie. It looks like it was like plugs of, I don't know, dead rat hair were put into his head. It's horrible. Like, there's a guy with a wig in this movie that you have to see to believe. Like, it's another character with a wig. Okay, so anyway, for a laugh, watch this movie. It's hilarious. If you can find it, stream it or whatever, watch it. It's just the funniest thing ever. Another over-the-top action movie, which I think a lot of people remember or know, Face Off. John Woo directed this, and it's, again, one of these crazy cartoon, sort of live-action cartoon type movies where so much over-the-top shit happens. It's non-stop. It's that Nicolas Cage again from Con Air kind of thing. So, you know, I want to take his face off. So, drop the name of the movie in the movie. You'll see. If you watch the movie, you'll see what I mean. A hilarious movie. Actually, really fun. I mean, like Con Air, just hilarious, just fun. It was so fun to watch. So that. Then, you know, this is kind of silly that I even bought these, but Ghost Rider 1 and 2. You know what? They're fun movies to watch. Nicolas Cage is not the character. Like, he's not Johnny Blaze, man. I know he really, because he's a huge comic book fan, he really wanted to be in these movies. So I guess they gave it to him, and he's probably said, "I'll be a good boy. I'm not going to do anything too crazy." So they cast him in this. In my opinion, fun movies, but he's definitely not Johnny Blaze. Like, he's just not that character. Like, Johnny Blaze, if they did a straight up good, like, new MCU type Marvel, adaptation of Ghost Rider, it's more of a Chris Evans. He's more of a dare. You know what? I can almost see Owen Wilson. I know it sounds crazy, but I can almost see Owen Wilson playing Johnny Blaze. But you know what? Nonetheless, these are fun movies. Nicolas Cage doesn't do the comic book justice, though, I don't think. But, you know, that's just my opinion. Here we've got Leaving Las Vegas. I'm not sure. You'll have to Google this, but I'm almost positive that he won an Academy Award for this movie. If he didn't, he was at least nominated. This is another side of Nicolas Cage where you're like, holy shit, the guy can act. He's incredible. Like, I mean, I don't have Moonstruck. Maybe I do have Moonstruck. I don't know. See, I probably have Moonstruck in here somewhere. But Moonstruck's another one. I probably forgot to pull it. Moonstruck is another one with Cher that he plays an amazing role in. And it's Nicolas Cage again. And he's awesome. Like, he's a really, really good actor when he wants to be. You know, a lot of the movies, obviously, he just does to, you know, he just does for a paycheck, man. You know, it's obvious that he does that. Here we go again with The Rock. Just another super fun movie that if you haven't seen it, you must watch it. It's just another one of those Nicolas Cage over-the-top cartoon popcorn type movies. But it's great. You know, it's actually really good. It's one of Sean Connery's, I think, last movies before he did like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen or something. He might have done something in between there. I'm not sure. I can't remember exactly what Sean Connery's timeline is, but I know League of Extraordinary Gentlemen was his last movie that he's ever done. Basically, you know, he's not dead yet, but he just wanted to quit Hollywood after that movie. So anyway, you'll see him and Nick Cage in this. This is actually a really good, and Ed Harris. It's actually a good movie. Like, it's a lot of fun. It's a gripping movie, but you know, there's obviously it's almost like a Die Hard type film. If you want me to sort of like categorize it, it's like Die Hard. So there's serious parts in it, good acting and everything, but it's very much like Die Hard. So pick it up. I think it's good. Give it a watch anyway. I think introduction to Nicolas Cage and one of my favorite movies of all time, David Lynch's Wild at Heart. Laura Dern and Nicolas Cage literally rip it up in this. And there's a Willem Dafoe performance in this movie that is like out Nicolas Cage's Nicolas Cage. And you have to see this movie to believe it. So if you know anything about David Lynch, you know that he's not extraordinarily linear in his approach to telling to filmmaking and his approach to telling stories. He really goes off the deep end and he takes bizarre tangents. This is one of his most linear films in terms of like telling a straight up story without many flourishes into the bizarre or like existential or whatever. So this is a pretty straight ahead road movie type of thing. There are bizarre parts to it, but it still stays in reality, relatively in reality as much as possible. So I love this movie. It is fantastic. I was blown away when I first saw this flick. It is so good. The acting is so fantastic. It is just a marvel of cinema. So very good movie. You know what? I don't want to give too much of it away. I could, but I'm not going to really. I'll let you delineate your own opinion of this film. It's just fantastic. If you can find it, rent it, stream it, whatever. Raising Arizona. Here is another one. Just again, like Nicolas Cage again, putting on such an amazing performance, so believable. Holly Hunter's in this too. This was a Coen Brothers film, if I'm not. Yes, a Coen Brothers film, of course, from way back. It's a pretty old film, but hilarious, heartwarming, action-packed too. It's kind of everything. It goes kind of everywhere. And again, the Coen brothers can be sort of like, you know, existential too, and sort of, you know, play with reality in that too. This is again a fairly linear film by them too. Tells a straight ahead story. So I would definitely pick this up too. Nicolas Cage at his best. At his best, like just like Wild at Heart and many others. This movie to me just came out recently, and it packed such a huge impact wallop for me. I loved it, like from the opening seconds of the film, and King Crimson's track going over the wilderness shot, slow pan, and then it gets unbelievably insane. Mandy. This movie blew my mind, and I mean, again, I'm not talking like, oh, when I was a kid, it blew my mind, like Wild at Heart did. Wild at Heart would blow my mind now if I saw it. This movie blew my mind now when I saw it. I've watched this thing probably 8 or 9 times, man. Yeah, like, you know, I really love this movie. Like there was no build up, I don't think, at all. In any way, like there was no. I heard that it was kind of weird, I think, and then I was like, "Oh, I'm intrigued." And Nicolas Cage is in it, so yes, I'm gonna check it out. And that was it. It wasn't like, oh, you have to watch this. It's on all of these people's lists, blah blah blah. I had no real idea of what I was gonna get into, other than it was a weird trip type of movie. I was blown away. Again, it's Nicolas Cage at just another Nicolas Cage level, just a different performance. Sometimes subdued, sometimes manic. Just brilliant. I loved it. I'm gonna watch it again soon. It's so good. Movies that I don't have that I just watched recently of his. Mom and Dad. If you haven't watched that, Selma Blair's in that. It's kind of like a zombie movie, but it's not. It's these people. Nicolas Cage and Selma Blair, husband and wife. They have 2 kids, and there's a virus that happens. And it causes parents to want to kill their children, but just their children. It's this maternal, like, anti-instinct. So I loved it. I was blown away. Again, it's Nicolas Cage doing this, a modest performance. Then he goes to that like mental side too, that almost incendiary, like crazy sort of at the drop of a dime type of thing performance. So that's another one. Man, I mean, he's done so much stuff. So much of it is shitty. I have some really good stuff. The only one I would consider shitty is Drive Angry. I bought that for kitsch value, for fun value. That's about it. Everything else that he's in that I own, I love. I think is fantastic. So that's the guy. That's Nick Cage. And it's kind of weird. I've got like. You will not. I do not see this. You will not see this from how I look now. But at one time, apparently, I looked like Nick Cage. This is what people tell me, and I have absolutely no horse in this race whatsoever. I never tried to look like him. I never, went, oh, I love that movie. I'm going to try to kind of look like Nicolas Cage or something. This is the God's honest truth, and I actually have witnesses for this one. This is just a weird little story. We were at Fan Expo, myself and a few friends of mine. We were at Fan Expo in Toronto, comic book convention. If you don't know, we were in this sort of cafeteria area, like this sort of area, this food court sort of area. And I got up, and after eating, got up and went to bring a bunch of stuff to a garbage, like a garbage pail to throw it in. And this guy comes up right to me, basically right onto the other side of the garbage can, looks at me, and I look at him and I'm like, hi. And he's like, oh, I thought you were someone else. And I go, oh, who? Just instinctively I said, oh, who? Like I would care, and he goes, I thought you were Nicolas Cage. And I said, what? I said, no, I'm sorry to disappoint you, man. He's like, no, it's okay. And then, so my friends are watching me, and they said, what was that about? And I said, the guy thought I looked like that. He thought I was Nicolas Cage. And it was just the funniest thing. It was the weirdest thing. So also, if you remember earlier, I said I went to the actual theater to see Con Air. So at the time, I was a lot more svelte. I had slick back, long hair, and sort of goatee, a bit of facial hair there. And I went to see the movie alone. Watched the movie. The theater was maybe a quarter packed. It was about a quarter. It was about a quarter of the theater was packed. once the movie was over, I get up, and I had this, I guess, long trench coat or something too. I can't remember exactly what I was wearing, but like, you know, I was kind of, you know, sauntering out of the theater, and people were literally staring at me, thinking that I was fucking Cameron Poe from the fucking movie, Nicolas Cage, because my hair was like all... And I didn't understand what was happening at first, and I was like, what the... You know, people are like, literally stopped, you know, mid getting out of their seats and walking into the aisles, and they're just like looking at me. And I'm like, what's going on here? And then I clued in. I don't have witnesses for that one, but... You know, that was just wild. Like, I couldn't believe that. So apparently at one point I did look like Nicolas Cage. Not by design, totally by coincidence, if even that was a thing. So there's that. But basically, to sum up, man, I love Nicolas Cage's movies. But, to me... being an entertainer, being in Hollywood, being any kind of entertainer at all, or what you do artistically, the cardinal sin to me is being bored by that person. If you're bored by that person that's performing and doing the thing, that's the worst. Nicolas Cage is anything but boring. Like, the guy is always, you always want to see what he's going to do next. You always want to watch him. He's so watchable. No matter how much shit movies he does, he's one of those guys that just exudes excitement. You know, he has this way about him that is always, you know, gravitational. So he pulls you in. And that's what I love about him. Good or bad, whatever, he knows what he's doing. I think he knows that we know what he's doing too. Because he takes these shit roles. I mean, you can go to any streaming service right now, or an Android box, or just go to IMDb, for God's sakes. Look up his videography, and I'm sure like it's actually counting new movies that he's doing like right now. New movies are being added to that thing, and it's like literally going up. Like, he does so much stuff. He must do like 100 movies a year or something, or like 50 movies a year. I heard a stat once about how many movies he did a year. I can't remember what it is now, but I was like, how is that even possible? Like, how do you even get into production? And, you know, he just shows up, does his shit, gets the fuck out, spends his money on comics. I guess he was married. I can't remember who he was married to. They divorced, and apparently he had to sell his comic book collection to pay her off or something. And I was like, holy shit, you know, there's a story of that guy right there. I heard this other thing that he was like, and I don't know if this is true. You could Google this too. I don't know, but there's a thing where he was, you know, in a bidding war to buy a Tyrannosaurus Rex fossil with Leonardo DiCaprio. Like, they were having this bidding war to buy this thing. That's Hollywood, man. That's Hollywood for you. Like, that's something that guy would do, you know? I bet you Leonardo DiCaprio didn't even give a shit. He was like, yeah, I gotta do this to Nicolas Cage to see if I can outbid him. Anyway, who knows? But again, he's always exciting, and I mean, some of the movies that I mentioned here, go watch them. They're fantastic films. If you haven't heard of them or seen them before, really check them out. They're really, really good things. Mandy, to me, was explosive. I loved it so much. That will do it for today. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Please give me the thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. That'd be so fantastic. Joanna, I hope you loved this video. I hope I hit all the points for you for Nick Cage. Guys, give me some suggestions for next video, for the next couple videos. I don't care. What do you want to hear me talk about? I will impart some knowledge. I will hopefully entertain you guys. I will hopefully not be boring. That is the worst. So, I will let you guys go for now. Thank you so much again for watching. Please stay healthy, stay safe, stay indoors if you can. God bless, if you're into that. And best wishes, okay? I will see you guys all again very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.